Hi, I'm Ali. With over 20 years experience as a practitioner and trainer in EFT tapping, I've noticed some really simple things that people miss when they're tapping on their own. So today I'd like to share with you my top tips to help you get really great results wherever and whenever you're tapping. When you're tapping on yourself and you become very overwhelmed and the intensity of the emotion increases and you feel quite uncomfortable, if it's okay for you to do this, I would recommend continued tapping. So even if you're crying, just tap from the top of the head to the ribs and keep going until you feel the intensity drop. It will drop, you will start to feel calmer, and this is actually when you can get a really good shift. If, however, it's relating to something really traumatic, you will need to, or I encourage you to seek out a practitioner to help you process what's going on for you more thoroughly. Setup statements. So we tap the side of the hand on the fleshy part to get really clear on what it is that we want to tap on. We're getting tuned in. We have the opportunity to validate and really acknowledge what's happening for us. An example could be, even though I'm feeling so overwhelmed right now, I'm acknowledging this is what's going on for me. Even though I'm feeling really overwhelmed and I feel this in my chest, I'm acknowledging this right now so I can let it go. Even though I feel all this overwhelm, I have so much to do today, I'm open to letting this go. So that gives us a really good opportunity to get very clear about why we're overwhelmed, where we feel it in the body, and getting really tuned into the issue before we start tapping. So when is a good time to do the quick tap? Doing the quick tap, which is tapping from the top of the head to the ribs when we don't have much time, when we're really tuned in, and when we want to take the opportunity very quickly to release something when it's just happened. It could be shock, it could be anger, it could be frustration. So the quick tap is really beneficial because also we do not need to do setup statements. Because when we're really tuned in and we haven't got much time, number one, we don't need to tune in because we're already there, we're feeling angry, upset or shocked. And number two, sometimes we're so overwhelmed that we don't even know what to say. So doing the quick tap from the top of the head to the ribs can be a really wonderful tool in your kit to be able to resolve emotions that are high or let them go very quickly without the need to say too much about it with your setup statements. It's really good to actually slow down your tapping. Now there's times when you'll be fast because you'll be very intensely in emotion and you might be angry and you'll just tap with two hands and you might be going around and you could be really fast. That's okay, you monitor yourself. But when you're going into a tapping with a very specific issue, it's really important if you can really bring that consciousness to your tapping, particularly to slow it down, stay very focused, get really specific, really tuned in, and get clear in your setup statements. Also, to take any moments that you can to pause, to breathe, to move your body, and then to retest where you are now as to where you were before. You'll get so much more benefit from really taking the time to work through things step by step and remembering not to bring in positive statements or affirmations too soon. It's very important for you to hydrate and drink water when you're tapping because the release affects the body. Water will support your nervous system and your detox pathways. So if you can, please drink water before a little bit during your tapping and particularly afterwards to support your whole process of healing. Why do we use and what are reminder statements? So we have the setup statements, which is to get really tuned in and validate and acknowledge and talk about what the issue is. But then we have what we call the reminder phrases or statements, which are to keep us tuned in. For example, we've done a setup statement on, even though I've got this headache at the front of my skull, I'm acknowledging this pain. And we have 2 more setup statements, we often have 3. Then we'll go on to the reminder phrases or statements to keep us tuned in, and that will be top of the head, this pain at the front of my skull, inner eyebrow, this throbbing pain I have, side of the eye. It's really frustrating, under the eye, this throbbing pain in my skull, under the nose. I feel very frustrated about this pain. So we can have 2 or 3 maximum, would be my recommendation, of statements that relate to the issue itself. And the purpose of these reminder phrases is simply to keep us tuned in so we're not going down the rabbit holes and weakening the process and the results that we can have. A general rule of thumb about bringing in positive statements and affirmations is that we want to actually ensure that we're actually feeling ready for that concept, ready for that reframe. And also, if we start bringing in positive statements and affirmations too soon, we've lost the opportunity to clean out the wound, if you like, before we move on. Because sometimes when an affirmation is brought in and we're saying, oh, I love and accept myself, and there's a resistance, as I don't actually feel like that. Or if we say, I'm really at peace now, and we don't actually feel at peace, then we need to just acknowledge why and reduce the intensity before bringing in a reframe or an affirmation such as, I'm open to feeling more at peace, or I am more at peace. If you'd like to get more support with your tapping and you'd like to be guided by me, I've created my Rapid Stress Release video series. It's a one-time purchase and you have access for life. You can find out all the details below. Using EFT just for physical issues. It's really effective because not only will we be acknowledging the physical pain, but we will also in the background be acknowledging the emotion that could be related to that, such as anger, resentment, frustration, or fear. We have something called chasing the pain as one of the techniques in EFT, and it literally is acknowledging the physical symptoms and going through one symptom at a time and traveling and tracking it around, because it may be a tension in the shoulders, and this could be related to some issue you have going on with stress in your life, but you're just focusing on the physical sensation of the tension in the shoulders. And as you go around your tapping and you do a check-in and you test again, you'll start to notice that that tension may be moving to the chest, the lower body, and then actually once you've done a few rounds, including the 9 gamut, you might realise that you're feeling a lot calmer, the pain is actually gone, and you're feeling much better and lighter in yourself. What to do if when you're tapping, a memory comes in unexpectedly and it's got a lot of intense emotions around it. If possible, continue to tap using 2 hands starting on the top of the head and just staying where you're at with the anxiety or the grief or the frustration or whatever it is, going around the points, finishing at the ribs, breathing in and out, and just continue to go around and around until you release that immediate overwhelm or anxiety or whatever it is in relation to that unexpected memory that's very visual coming in. Once you've settled your nervous system by just doing continuous rounds of tapping with your eyes open, you can then get a sense of feeling calm, and that's when I highly recommend you seek professional help from a qualified EFT practitioner. why it's important to prioritise yawning and burping and any physical releases that you're having whilst tapping. Because actually that's when the really big shifts and releases happen, particularly the yawning. So if you're tapping away and you're wanting to yawn but you think you should be saying words instead, always I would recommend prioritize your yawning. It's like a primal response when we're tapping, and when the yawn comes you can also know, wow, this is maybe going to be a really good release. It's something extraordinary that happens that I've noticed over the time of using tapping for 20 years for myself, that when I'm tapping and I do really big yawns, I know I'm on a winner and I'm going to feel a lot better. Common mistakes that beginners make when they're tapping. Being too global and not getting specific on how they feel, why they feel this, i.e. the evidence, and perhaps where they feel it in the body. Going down too many different rabbit holes, bringing in affirmations too soon, and not being persistent enough. Sometimes we want to do some tapping, but we've got people around us and we don't have privacy. You can do something very simple by just squeezing either side of the nail bed. And you can do inside your mind without speaking out. You can just say a little bit about what the issue is. For example, you could just squeeze here and just say, all this anxiety, all this fear. I feel anxious right now. All this anxiety. I'm feeling really anxious. And you can breathe in and then out, and then you can go to the other hand, and in your mind, if you've not got much time, you can introduce a positive reframe. Maybe I'm going to be okay. All this anxiety, I choose to let it go. I'm going to be okay. All this anxiety. And breathing in and out, and remember you can either say it quietly out loud, or you can just say it inside internally to yourself in your mind. The key thing is just tune into what it is you're feeling. Very helpful for those times when you don't want people to see you tapping. Another way to do discreet tapping would be you can just apply a little bit of pressure. So just a bit of pressure on these points. Again, internally, just focusing on what the emotion is or the issue, or very quietly saying it out loud. A very important piece when you're tapping is to allow yourself some space after. Space for integration, space and time for your body to realign so that you can settle and allow the new frequency of calm and love and joy and creativity to actually start taking place. So we can get immediate relief when we're tapping, and we can feel calmer and more at ease, and we can get an insight. But sometimes that can take several hours, if not a night of sleep or two, or up to 2 weeks. Sometimes when I'm doing one-on-one sessions, I recommend having at least 1 to 2 weeks in between the sessions, because that integration needs a bit of space and a bit of time. Even if you've only got 5 or 10 seconds after you've tapped to close your eyes and to honour what's just happened and to let things settle within yourself and your body, that can be really, really beneficial to you. So some suggestions for you for when not to tap. When you're very, very exhausted, and actually what's probably needed is a rest or a lie down. When you're very unwell and you literally have no energy, and often this is a time when you don't want to tap anyway. When you don't have privacy, and actually probably one of the most important pieces to this is when you know there's going to be a lot of intensity that you might not be able to manage on your own, and it could be something traumatic. This is when it's really advisable to seek out an EFT practitioner to support you safely. When it's important to seek help. I would say number one, when you know that you've had a long-standing issue that you can't resolve yourself, that maybe you have seen somebody for years and not got the help or the relief you needed, and you know it could be related to some trauma. That is absolutely when I recommend that you get the professional help so that you feel safe and so that you're able to book in a series of sessions to be able to clear all the aspects to do with what it is that you're not able to feel relief from. The other time when I would say to seek help is when you know that this issue is complicated, it's complex, and actually you don't feel proficient enough to be able to tap on these things yourself. Because what often happens is you can get overwhelmed and you can lose confidence in your tapping because you feel like you've not been able to get the relief, but you've also got yourself into a worse state because you've not known how to handle the session. So please do always seek at least a consult to see if you can find the right person to be able to support you and guide you and help you feel really held and safe, and have that really perfect person who can be there and witness what you're going through and help you validate so that you can feel better. I just wanted to share with you the importance of actually moving the body and taking a pause when you feel that impulse to whilst you're tapping. There's no need for us to say, I've got to do a full round of tapping and I can't stop. Allow yourself to move your body in a way that feels right. You might feel like you need to shake it out, you need to stand up, you need to burp, you need to yawn. You simply need to open your eyes because you've had your eyes closed. And actually what's really nice as well in between, or particularly at the end of a tap, is to really make that physical contact to ground yourself. So the butterfly hug, just squeezing either side of your arms or rubbing, placing your hands on your stress points, so the front of the forehead, the nape of the neck, and breathing in and out, and then reversing, so the other side, breathing in and out. Or you could simply just pause for a minute with your hand on your heart and your belly and just simply breathing, closing your eyes and taking that moment to recognize what's happening in your body before you either do another round of tapping or you get on with your day. Thank you for joining me today. I do hope these tips help you make your tapping even more effective. You may wish to subscribe, share, like, and if you have a moment to leave a comment, I'd be very grateful.